Good evening. My name is One I Am. I'm an esoteric subject matter author. I write books on subjects that you would call occult or subjects that are not easily understood. I think the subjects that I write about are easily understood. I think I can, relay the information that I write about pretty simple so that others can understand it. I'm a resident of Detroit, Michigan. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Went to Mackenzie High School, graduated, went to Lawrence Tech, hired in at General Motors, worked 30 years for General Motors, retired, started driving tractor trailers after that. I took 10 years off after I retired and then started driving tractor trailers. But, I'm just the everyday guy. I'm not going to say nothing special. I can't say that, but I'm going to say I'm good people. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And my history with esoteric subjects and esoteric study goes back like 40 years when I started seeking answers. And you know how it is. If you knock, the door will be opened. And if you ask, you will receive. That type of thing. So in 40 years, I found out quite a bit. And even though I went to traditional colleges and such, like I was in Wayne State for a while, I was in Oakland Community College. I also, done Lawrence Technological University, and etc. But I never degreed in anything, even though I was in like electrical engineering and computer science and those types of subjects. But I don't consider the traditional education to be my most valuable education. Probably the grade school education is what I would consider to be even more valuable than the college education. Learning how to read and write and how to do mathematics, the basics of it. And then being able to go out and study on my own with other subjects that I'm more interested in than geometry and calculus and English and the things they would teach you in traditional college. So I consider my greatest education to be non-traditional education that I received in my own research and etc. And also when I joined the ancient mystical order of the Rosy Cross, which, some would call it a secret society. At one time, it was a secret society. It had to be, passing through dark periods where knowledge wasn't looked upon very nicely, very favorably, and people that had certain knowledge and certain wisdom found themselves being attacked by superstitious mobs and etc., and burned on the stake and tortured in torture chambers and etc. So, things had to go underground and be secret. But today, the order is not secret. They're out in public view. There's a Grand Lodge in San Jose, California, the English Grand Lodge, and other lodges all around the world, uh, with the main lodges being in Europe. Uh, and the ancient mystical order. And they teach philosophy and natural law. You study natural law, around the physics of the situation and etc. And, different cycles and etc. And really everything about yourself, you get into your own being and etc. And I joined the order back in 2000, and I became um, not a neophyte. It's another name they have for it. A neophyte when you get in, not before neophyte when you get into the first degrees. Not the first degrees, but when you get into the first atrium. Okay. And then you go through that period, and then you become a neophyte. And then you're a neophyte for a while, and then you go through the degrees, you're uh, ushered into the first degree, and then through several degrees all the way through the ninth degree. And that's really the traditional formal program, is going from, coming in the door and going through the ninth degree. And it took me about 10 years, about a decade or so, to get through the 9 degrees. And, it's a lot of study, a lot of meeting with people, a lot of research on your own, a lot of being with yourself, a lot of meditation, a lot of being with your own self in your own sacred space in your home, at your own sanctum, and experimenting and etc. with different things, and learning as you go and as you grow. Amen. And after the ninth degree, then you go through the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, etc. But after the ninth degree, you don't really list the degrees anymore. You just say, I'm 9 plus. I've done the 9 plus. I've entered into the after degrees. 9 plus is good enough after that, after the ninth degree. And basically, what I'm going to talk about here tonight is my book, Living the Dream. My book, Living the Dream. Amen. And I wrote this book a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, maybe. And it's a powerful book, very powerful book, with a lot of information in it, great information, coming from the deep recesses of meditation, and coming from being in a place of absolute silence, absolute silence and stillness, and having none of the noise and etc. associated with living and playing the game of life. You know, you sort of be with yourself, and answers are given to questions you may have. And a lot of those answers are in this book, Living the Dream. A lot of those answers, you know, the questions that a lot of people want answered, and the answers are here in this book. And this book has not been recognized for its value, you know, in the time that it's been out. It really hasn't, for the knowledge that it contains. And, you know, I've been plugging with this book and hoping to reach more people with the knowledge in the book, and to help to correct the world with this knowledge. So that's what my goal is. And, you know, it's certainly not to cast my pearls among the swine. But as you know, we're in a technological age. I'm talking to thousands of people over the internet. And certainly I'm reaching someone who values what I'm saying, who can hear my words. You know, it's not like it used to be where you had to find a person face to face that was seeking and then help that person to find the door. Here, you can go to the internet, put it out there, and the person that's seeking will find it. And that's what I'm going to do here tonight in this video. And I want to start by talking about the law of attraction. You may have heard a lot about the law of attraction lately. In the last few years, there's been a lot of books, movies, and you know, writings about the law of attraction, which the law of attraction is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into a person's life. The thoughts are attracting situations and circumstances and actual material reality into a person's life. There was a big book that came out by Rhonda Byrne, I think it is, and it was called The Secret. And then, you know, it was a movie associated with the book, The Secret, and, you know, a lot of talk and different things going on around The Secret, and calendars and etc. And just a whole media blitz about The Secret and the law of attraction. And then there's other books and etc. that don't necessarily have the law of attraction, but other books like Think and Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich, are sort of like along the same line as The Secret. As a Man Thinketh, which is another book. In his heart, you know, in his heart, so is he. You know, so it's all about the mind, the thoughts of a person and what they're drawn into their lives and etc. It's like, and people have started to realize that there is a truth to the law of attraction um, when it comes to what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on, and then what comes to you in your life, in your experiences. Um, a lot of people have realized that, yeah, there does seem to be a law of attraction, a law where what I focus on seems to manifest in my life. And what I'm saying by manifest, like take, for example, a person that goes for walks every day, and for some reason, they think that they're going to be attacked by dogs or a pit bull or something. So they're constantly focusing on the dog and the pit bull, and I have to have a stick with me, and I have to have this, and I got to be on guard for the dog. Of course, no dog has attacked them or anything, or there hasn't been any trouble like that, but their focus is on the dog. And then sure enough, just as their focus was on the dog, one day during their walk, a vicious pit bull shows up and attacks them. And they have to fight the dog off with the stick, et cetera, et cetera. And it may even be accidents where they weren't so fortunate as to fight the dog off, and it actually got bit by the dog and etc. And this is the law of attraction at work. It's not about attracting just good things in your life. It's the law of attraction will attract good, will attract bad. It just depends on you and your slant on life and how you're feeling. And your thoughts are a command to the energy, to the universal energy. Your thoughts are a command to bring whatever you're thinking about into material reality. And the universe, the energy that makes up the universe, obeys your thoughts. It obeys your commands. It is subservient to what you really believe and what you really think. And then it starts to deliver your material reality based on what it believes you want from the thoughts that you're giving it. You understand? It responds to how you think. Okay? And that's what the law of attraction is all about. And it works that way for good reason. Just as God said, let there be light. And then there was light. Let there be the energy. And then there was the energy to make the creation. With this thought, it's the same with you. Thought has a direct effect on the energy. And it is thought that causes your material reality to be delivered to you as you want it. Now, in the old days, people knew about this way back, when you had shaman and you had mystics. And if you go farther back, you had magicians, they would call them, and etc. You had clairvoyants and all kinds of people that were into the mental process, and they had power and abilities over material reality through the mind, And for example, if you look in the Bible, they talk about Pharaoh and Moses going to Pharaoh and saying, "Let my people go." And Aaron put down Moses' staff, and the staff turned into a snake. Okay. And the Pharaoh was not impressed by that. The Pharaoh said, "Hey, I have magicians that can do that as well." And he called for his magicians, and the magicians laid down their staffs, and their staffs turned into snakes as well. And this is a story to tell you the power of the magicians at that time, which the magicians, what they call them magicians, they were the scientists of that day. They were the educated, the people who experimented and who came up with knowledge through observation of natural law, through observation of the mind, and etc., and being able to apply the mind over material reality, mind over matter. You understand? So you had magicians, and then later on you had mystics, you had witches, and etc. All of these people that were into natural law, spells and potions and mental, mental machinations, working with the mind and etc. And you had wizards and different things like that, and like all through Europe and etc. People that were working with ancient knowledge, taken from times far back, but coming through Europe, through a period of darkness and etc., and traveling through Europe, and and the Europeans kept certain information alive, kept certain scrolls, certain books, certain knowledge alive, and came up with secret societies and different things like that, where they kept the knowledge secret and within circles among themselves. And the mystics and everything would wear robes and funny hats and etc. and this, that, and the other. And they would have wands and staffs and different things like that. All props and everything. Dealing with the mental sciences and etc. And they had laboratories and everything, the mystics. And they would work with base metals and etc., changing base metals into gold and etc., and making different things with sulfur and salt and using certain chemicals and everything. They were chemists of a sort, as well, physical scientists and mental scientists, just like doctors and physicists today and professors today. We don't call them magicians anymore, or wizards, and etc. But it's the same. They're the same thing, except they're not so spiritual today. They're even more physical than we've ever been when it comes to doing what they do now. They hardly ever get into the mental science of it all, but they're focused a lot into the physicality of everything. And that's where my book comes in, because I think we've gotten away from, the real stuff, that we need to get back to, understand, and start to create a better world for ourselves, and get away from being so much lost in the illusion of physicality. You understand? And the mystics of old, they would study the laws of nature and different things, and they knew how the mental machination, this world, they knew how it worked. Although they were hearing what was seemingly a physical environment, they knew it was a mental environment, and that it could be mastered mentally. And this is what the alchemy was all about. It was about mind over matter. It was about exercising the mind to control the matter and to have your way with the mental world, to have it as you will, and etc. And there were books written and everything, and different laws written down. If you go to Egypt, there were laws and etc. written in stone on the tablets and etc. And they had temples where they would teach people from over the world in the temples the mental laws about how to master matter, how to master the physical world mentally. That's what the Egyptian temples and etc. was about. Not so much, just a bunch of guys, dressing up in funny suits and, with different gods with different heads and different things. And they are all into the matter. As a matter of fact, the natural laws and etc. that the Egyptians had, they go back even further than the Egyptians. They go back to an Atlantean, who came to Egypt and etc. and brought different knowledge and etc. To Egypt. And these natural laws and etc. were written down and passed on in the temples and etc. It was sacred information, secret information, and it was respected. And you had to go through processes and etc. in order to get in, and ritual in order to receive this information. And doing the processes and the ritual and everything, you were going through experiments and phases and different mental states and etc. And you were being guided through by adepts that were higher, that understood what you would be going through, and and they kept a watch on you and everything to make sure you were safe as you were coming into the knowledge of yourself and your own being in this process. They were acclimating you to being a god as opposed to being the man that you thought you were. You understand? And one of the books that they wrote down a great deal of the laws and etc. in this book is called the Kabbalion. These natural laws and etc. I have that book here, the Kabbalion, and it's called the Kabbalion. It's Hermetic Philosophy by 3 initiates. It just says 3 initiates of the information, you know, people that are learning natural law, you know, that in some form of mystical school or etc. You know, that's just the name that the author, you know, gave the book and etc. But in this book, and these laws go back to ancient Egypt, you know, ancient Egypt, not, you know, relative 2,000 years ago Egypt, 5,000 years ago Egypt, you know, these very laws, these very principles and etc. And although these are some of the rules and the axioms and etc. that apply over the natural world, they're not all the laws and rules that apply over them, but just the major ones. Some of the major ones are written in this book. And this book, although it has a lot of great stuff in it, you know, that can help you out a great deal, knowledge has expanded since this book was written, you know, and none of the knowledge in here has changed, but knowledge has expanded, and there's more to be added than is here. What I'm saying is better books can be written today, and that's what living the dream is all about. You know, expanding on this knowledge in the Kabbalion. Now, of the laws and the principles in this book, which there are 7 Hermetic principles in the book, the 7 principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based on is the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. Now I'm gonna talk about these principles just a little bit. You know, I'm gonna read a little bit and talk a little bit about the principles. But the first principle, the principle of mentalism, is the major principle. It's the first principle, first, and it's also the key to everything that is in the physical world. This principle of mentalism is a master key that can unlock the entire universe, not, the things that are around you, this, that, and the other, not you, your own being. It can unlock the whole ball, the whole game. If you can grasp the principle of mentalism, you have the key, the master key to open up all the doors. The principle of mentalism is the all is mine. The universe is mental. That's it. The principle of mentalism. The all is mine. The universe is mental. So if you just turn around the beginning of that principle, and instead of saying the all is mine, you could say the mind is all, which is the same thing. The mind is all, and the universe is mental. So this universe is a creation of the mind. You understand? It's mental. It is not a physical body. Even though you're able to knock on it, you're able to, to have a physical presence and deliver life in time and etc. And everything seems very solid and very physical. Things are not physical at all. They're made of mental energy. And the energy it's not solid. It's not a solid energy. And it's moving. It's constantly moving and vibrating. And you know how they show you the atom and the electrons and positrons going around the nucleus and etc. This thing is moving. It's moving at incredible speed down at its base level. And it is energy and not some physical manifestation. The principle embodies the truth that all is mine. Everything is mine. Okay? Everything that came about is the result of an intelligence. An intelligence. And the purpose of all of this stuff is not for anything that has been created or that appears to be, but it is for the entertainment and the exercise of the intelligence that created it. Do you understand that? It's not about you per se, or that person, or anything here. That's why all the rules and everything apply to everything, and nobody is really, safe from anything happening as long as it's happening within the rules and etc. You know what I'm saying? If you throw a brick up over your head, okay, according to all the laws and the rules, the brick will come down upon your head, and it will, because this is the way the laws and the rules are written, and they're put into play, and it all applies upon, all the rules and regulations apply upon the illusion of matter. And this is what holds the thing together. What holds it together is the boundaries, the limits, and etc. And the restrictions, that hold it together. And with the future being hope, and the past being memory, and the present really being all there is. Of course, the present being the past and the future, here now. And it's all an illusion in the mind for the exercise and entertainment of the intellect that created it. And it was developed over an eon of what we would call time here in the illusion. But of course, without, time and the illusion, etc., you really can't measure how long, this thing took to develop. But it took a long time to develop, which amounts to nothing outside of the illusion, as the intellect that created the whole thing is unlimited, unbounded, is infinite, and any time that can be measured to a certain distance, even if it's an eon, in the infiniteness, in the infiniteness, and the infiniteness of, in the expansion of the intellect, any time measured, even if it's an eon, gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as the intelligence expands. And, no matter how much time it was, it took 1 trillion years. At one time, it might look big, but in the expansion of the infinite, 1 trillion years becomes small. It becomes a small, dusty little spot in the corner of the mind of the infinite. You understand? So, back to the principle of mentalism. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances which we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses is spirit. Is spirit, which is itself unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as an universal, infinite living mind. So you have an intelligence that has created all of this within itself. Okay? And if you understand that this is mental, it's all within your own mind, then you can start to use your mind to work upon your mental creation. You understand? And this is what the alchemy of the shaman, the alchemy of the wizard, the magician, the scientists of old were all about. Mental control of the natural forces, of the natural phenomena. And with this master key in his possession, the student may unlock the many doors of the mental and psychic temples of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. So you can unlock all of the doors, the many doors of knowledge, and enter freely, just in and out as you will, and intelligently. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate. We're saying energy, power, matter, all of this is subordinate to the mastery of the mind. If you can master your mind, you can master any material. That is within your mind. And everything in your consciousness is already yours. It's already yours. You know, it's just the way you've lined it up according to your thoughts and etc. From being acclimated into the process through infancy, childhood, adolescence. You're acclimated into the rules and into the process and everything. You understand? The processes of your own mental machination. So, you know, you're being led, you know, out of the box you're in, so to speak. You know, you've got yourself tied into your own mental mechanism, not understanding that this is yours to have as you will, and to work your will upon it and do whatever. You know, you understand? This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why how all these are subordinate to the mastery of the mind. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote long ages ago, "He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." So if you can grasp the truth of the mental nature, and you know, and it's not an easy thing to do, especially after you've been acclimated into what you believe is the physicality of the situation. Okay. And you're living in it, and you're looking around, it's laws of nature and everything, and you know, laws that are put in place. Of course, you know, you're not really understanding that the mind can bend the rules, can break the rules, can reset the rules. You understand? All of this can be done through the mind. Your mind. Your mind can be put over matter. Mind over matter. Okay? And the matter can become subservient. The power of the universe will become subservient to you. And the student who can grasp that understanding is well on his way to mastery. You know, and these words are as true today as at the time they were first written. Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. So without the master key, without being able to get past the fact that this thing is mental and not physical, then everything else you're doing is a waste. You know, I mean, you're gonna be able to function better and everything with the other Hermetic principles and everything if you're able to use those, if you're able to see those and understand how they work. but you're not going to be able to unlock the doors of physicality. Unlock the doors of, you're not going to be able to mentally work upon this mental creation the way that you should. You're not going to be able to apply your mind to anything physical and have your will with it as you should be able to. As you should be able to. Okay? You'll be working with the other principles, the Hermetic principles, and etc. And they're good principles to know, like the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. So you're looking high, and you see something. It's the same on another level. Everything is pretty much the same. So if there's something here that you don't understand, on a higher level, look for it at the level you're at and get an understanding from the lower level and apply it to the higher level. You understand? The principle of correspondence, second principle. Third, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Okay? Everything is made of energy. Everything is vibrating, moving, and it's moving at light speed. It's moving at incredible speed. It just seems very slow and etc. because of the rules and the laws and etc. put in place. And these rules and the laws put in place are put in place to lock everything in and to make everything pop. You know what I'm saying? To make it so that you can have a life and you can go through this process and be entertained and exercised the mind, to have the joys and to have the pains, the ups and downs, the highs and the lows of life, and etc. And to go through the process of living and learning. And it's all not for any particular personage or any particular person, but it's for the mind behind the creation, the mind within that is observing and experiencing the highs, the lows, and, in the full range of emotion and love and life and everything that you go through. It's not about any particular personage or person or any particular relationships or anything like that. This was created for the intellect that it is within. It's within the mind. And you should have this thing as you will to have it. But right now, the way it's going, it's like a freight train, a runaway freight train, okay, where the master is in the train, but he's not in the locomotive, in the engine part. He's not he doesn't have any control of the process. The process is sort of run away with him, and he's sort of getting what comes. He's not consciously directing the process, because the master doesn't understand that he's the master, that she's the master. Humans do not understand what a human is. They've been told different things about being a human. That there's the human mind and there's the God mind, and you have to pray to God, and etc. And you don't have power and ability. This can only come from God, and you have to go through a third person in order to get connected to God, and etc. And this is the result of other men who are knowledgeable wanting to contain your power and to harness it for themselves, to work upon this mental creation, to deliver a world that they want to live in, at the height of the world, enjoying everything and etc. and having the experience of their lives at your cost, so to speak. You understand?